Islam is humanity's lifebuoy. We are living in the age of maximum information and minimum tranquility. You have access to the sum of human knowledge in your pocket, yet rates of anxiety, loneliness, and existential dread among educated youth have never been higher. In the past, the church tried to impose its control over people in Europe, so Western people rebelled against religion. Consequently, humanity fell into confusion and chaos. What if in the current chaos there is a rope, a logical, moral, and spiritual lifebuoy? Islam is humanity's lifebuoy. For the intellectually curious, the skeptics, and the seekers, let's look at the data. Let's look at the ethics. Let's find out why Islam is the fastest growing religion, not despite modernity, but because of it. The 20th century promised that when we killed God, we would be free. We traded divine revelation for human reason. But reason alone tells you how things work, not why you matter.
The human soul has a natural fitrah, an innate disposition to believe in objective morality and a higher power. But unlike other theological frameworks, Islam does not ask you to believe in a mysterious Trinity. Islam offers Tawhid, the radical, logical unity of God. One creator, one source, one standard of justice. You value social justice. You care about climate change, wealth inequality, and systemic racism. So do we. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Secular humanism has no absolute authority to enforce justice. Without a divine standard, right and wrong are just the votes of the majority. Enter Islam, the lifebuoy. Consider Zakat. It is not a tax. It is a right of the poor upon the wealth of the rich. In the English language, charity is voluntary. In Arabic, Zakat means purification. By giving 2.5% of your idle wealth, you purify the rest. Economically, this creates a circulation of capital that modern economists are just now realizing prevents the hoarding that crashes markets. You hate predatory lending? So does Islam. The prohibition of Riba, usury or interest, isn't archaic. It's a firewall against the debt slavery that traps billions today.
And look at the environment. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, if the day of judgment comes and you have a seedling in your hand, plant it. This is to protect environment even the judgment day is now. While other philosophies debated the value of trees, Islamic jurisprudence established hima, protected zones, and haram, sacred areas for conservation. The Quran calls humanity khalifa, stewards of the earth. Not owners, stewards. For an educated youth terrified by climate collapse, this is not dogma, this is survival strategy, as Islam educated all Muslims. The elevation of women and intellect, debunking myths. Islam is the lifebuoy for the intellect because it is the only major religion that explicitly states that ink of a scholar is holy, like the blood of a martyr. It is a faith that tells you to go even to the end of world to seek knowledge. It is a faith that doesn't ask you to check your brain at the door. We have discussed the logic. Now, let's discuss the soul. In the sujood, the act of prostration, the human being is physically lower than the ground they stand on. It is the ultimate act of humility. Neuroscientifically, this posture reduces stress, and the more important that you direct yourself to Allah, the Creator. But emotionally, it does something no antidepressant can. It transfers the weight of your helplessness to the all-powerful. When you are laid off, when you lose a loved one, when the universe seems silent, the Muslim believes there is a Lord who hears.
Look at the 5 pillars practically. They are not rituals for the sake of ritual. The Shahada, declaration, that there is no God but Allah. Allah is an affirmation of truth. Prayer is a reset button every few hours. Fasting teaches self-control over the primal ego. Zakat cleans your wealth. Hajj shows you that no matter your race or tax bracket, we are equal in front of God. This is why Islam is the lifebuoy.
The ship of secular modernity is sinking, not because the engine is bad, but because there is no captain. Islam gives you the guide, God, the compass, Quran, and the crew, the Ummah, Islamic nation. Islam doesn't need you. You need what Islam has. It is the lifebuoy for a drowning humanity. Humanity is living through its darkest days under the dominance of the Western allies, who emerged victorious from World War II after defeating Nazism and fascism. A Nazism and fascism imbued with abhorrent racism and a sense of superiority over the world. But did these victorious allies escape the clutches of that same racism and abhorrent arrogance? What we see is that while the Nazi-fascist alliance held sway over Europe, the victorious allies of World War II have become arrogant towards the entire world, spreading corruption, injustice, and aggression, and igniting devastating wars not only within Europe but across the globe, East and West, except in their own victorious nations. They have continued to plunder the wealth of nations in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. The tragic disconnect between religion and life is what has led humanity into an abyss from which there is no escape except by returning to God and believing in Him. This is what Islam offers to rescue humanity from its perdition. Indeed, Islam offers a lifebuoy. The contemporary English philosopher Bertrand Russell said, "The era of white supremacy is over. Its perpetual dominance is not a law of nature. I believe that white men will never again experience such comfortable days as they did during the last 4 centuries." The issue is far deeper than this. The era of white supremacy has ended because white civilization has exhausted its limited immediate purposes. It no longer has anything to offer humanity in terms of visions, concepts, principles, and values capable of guiding humanity and allowing it to achieve genuine growth and progress. Growth and progress for humanity, for human values itself. It has become sterile, or nearly so, after what it produced in the English Magna Carta, the principles of the French Revolution, and the principles of individual liberty that prevailed in what is called the American experiment. All of these were limited values, promoted in a specific period, addressing specific situations and circumstances. They were not a sustainable resource for humanity, one that could endure beyond the lifespan of those fleeting principles. Modern materialism promised humanity a happy life and a focus on human dignity, but in reality, this hasn't materialized. The dreams of ordinary people for happiness have been eroded by the brutality of rampant capitalism. In America, for example, the focus is no longer on providing health care. The average American citizen has become enslaved by bills, expenses, and a credit card that keeps them perpetually indebted. After the end of World War II, the victorious allies, led by the West, established the United Nations and the Security Council to maintain international peace and security. But in reality, the West, led by America, ignited wars in many parts of the world, from Korea to Vietnam to Latin America, passing through the Arab world, where they wanted to eradicate one of its peoples and replace them with immigrants from all over the world, claiming myths that have no basis. Islam is humanity's lifebuoy.